Awesome. So thank you everyone for joining us today. And today I'll be going over our 3 wage subsidy programs that we have here at EHRC. So for each program, I'll do a brief overview. I'll go over the eligibility requirements, and then I'll go over any additional supports that each program offers. And then after that, we'll be going over some frequently asked questions about each program. And if anyone has any more questions, there'll be a contact slide at the end. Please feel free to contact us and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Starting off with our destination trade program. This program provides hiring incentives up to $5,000 to small to medium-sized employers. And what that means is 499 full-time employees or less who create work opportunities for 3rd and 4th year apprentices and support the completion of their certificate of qualification. For eligibility requirements for our employers, they have to be Canadian owned and not in Quebec. This does not mean that Quebec organizations are excluded from this grant. It just means that the funder of our destination trade program, UTIP, so the Union Training and Innovation Program, have their own separate agreement with the province of Quebec. So any Quebec organizations are still eligible for this grant of $5,000 for 3rd and 4th year apprentices. However, you just have to access it through the province of Quebec directly. For those of us located not in Quebec, you also have to be a firm whose primary activity is generation, transmission, and distribution of electricity, or sector support, including renewables in any of the following areas, such as research and development, business development, and energy efficiency. In addition, we also welcome firms engaged in the manufacturing of equipment and the provisions of services necessary for the generation and transmission of distribution. And firms, again, are small to medium-sized enterprises, which is 499 full-time employees or less at the time that it receives the funding. The work opportunity also would not have been otherwise feasible without support from EHRC, and we will get more into this later on in the presentation. For our apprentices, they have to be registered as a 3rd or 4th year apprentice in construction manufacturing of red seal trade. All 54 construction manufacturing red seal trades are eligible for this grant. Again, the organization just kind of has to service the electricity industry and kind of the sector we support. But all this to say that we are not limited to only electrical apprentices, only power line technicians. Any apprentice in any of the 54 trades are welcome into this program. However, again, the business just has to service the electricity sector in some sort of way. For apprentices, they have to be Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or a person with refugee protection in Canada, and they have to be legally able to work in Canada according to the laws and regulations of the province or territory where they live. For additional supports offered with our Destination Trade program, free employer training sessions on diversity, equity, and inclusion from our own in-house DEI specialist, and also a mentorship pathway program. Some FAQs, what defines which year the apprentice is in. EHRC is a national organization, so we service apprentices coast to coast to coast. And that being said, we understand that apprentices are defined by the province that they are in, by the provincial governing body. And as such, it is different all across Canada. That being said, EHRC defines the year the apprentice is in by hours worked. So as long as they have enough hours to be considered 3rd or 4th year, they can be eligible. However, as we mentioned, each province operates apprenticeships differently. So if anyone has any questions about what really defines what year the apprentice is in, we always defer to the province. So if the provincial governing body decides that your apprentice is 3rd year, then they are 3rd year. So any questions always defer to the province. I have a 2nd year apprentice who will become 3rd year later this year. Can I apply for the program? Yes, when your apprentice becomes 3rd year. So again, the goal of the Destination Trade program is about retention. We want to see our lower level apprentices get to upper level. We want to see them become fully licensed journey people. So yes, if your apprentice is a 3rd year and they stay with you long enough to get those hours, then you can go ahead and apply for the grant. We got funding for our 3rd year apprentice last year. Can I apply for them again now they are 4th year? So no, again, this is just for equity. If you had previously received funding for apprentice, you cannot apply for them again. This is just to keep funding opportunities equitable for any organizations and any other apprentices who may not have benefited from this program before. We are keeping our apprentice permanently. What should I put for an end date? This is great. This is exactly what you want to see. EHRC funding contracts cannot be longer than 1 year. So should you apply for the program, just select an end date for 1 calendar year. It's the longest our funding contracts can go, but that does not mean that we want to see you leave your apprentice at the end of the year. No, that is just the defined dates of the funding agreement. What is the definition of would not have otherwise been feasible without support funding? Again, this is defined as a multitude of ways. EHRC, the goal of the Destination Trade Program is retention. So in any which way, this funding could provide a beneficial or even better apprenticeship experience for your apprentice, whether it be in the form of new equipment, whether it be in the form of additional training, whether it be in the form of wage subsidy, so you're able to keep them on during slower periods of time, which you understand can happen. That means that it could be beneficial. That means that this opportunity may not have been feasible without support. So again, can be defined in a multitude of ways. However, which way this funding can benefit your organization can qualify. By applying to the Destination Trade Program, you're acknowledging that funding is necessary to support the hiring and retention of your apprentice. Moving on to our Discovering Potential program. This is our youth program. Again, we'll go over the overview, the eligibility requirements, and any additional supports that are offered, followed by FAQs about the program. So Discovering Potential is employment supports for organizations providing youth participants, again, ages 15 to 30 inclusive, which is the definition of youth, with meaningful internships or on-the-job training opportunities. Eligible employers can receive a financial incentive of up to $22,000 for the hiring and training of youth, additional $5,000 for Indigenous youth, youth living with a disability, or youth living in northern and remote areas can be eligible for this $5,000 support top-up. Financial support is available at 75% of gross wages or 100% for additional training opportunities. Eligibility requirements for employers, again, they have to be Canadian owned and they have to service either generation, transmission, energy storage, or distribution of electricity. Clean energy technology or renewable energy organizations can also apply for this grant, and firms engaged in the manufacturing of equipment, provisions of services necessary for electricity generation, transmission, or distribution of electricity, again, are also eligible, similar to Destination Trade. For youth, this is where it gets a little bit different. So it is our youth program. So again, they have to be between 15 and 30 years of age inclusive. So they cannot be 31 at the time of application. 30 years old at the time of application is okay. However, again, cannot be 31. They have to be a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or a person that has been granted refugee status in Canada, and they have to be legally entitled to work according to the relevant provincial legislation and regulations. At the time of application, at the time of their start date, sorry, not application, they can be on EI at the time of application. However, by the time the works placement starts, they cannot be on EI benefits. This is our youth program, so they cannot be enrolled in full-time post-secondary studies. That is for students. And they have to be currently or underemployed before starting this work opportunity. For employment, it is an internship that provides youth participants with meaningful employment in the electricity or natural resources sector and helps them attain career skills and experience. So we're really looking for meaningful placements that bridge to long-term or permanent employment. For training opportunities, it is a training opportunity that supports the success of young workers facing barriers to employment. However, as of April 1st, 2026, apprenticeships and short-term seasonal roles are not eligible for this program. This is because our lower level apprentices, there are a lot of provincial grants coast to coast to coast. There are also a lot of other delivery organizations similar to EHRC that services lower level apprenticeships. And as such, we're going to be focusing on STEM placements for the Discovering Potential program moving forward. For additional supports offered with this program, EHRC sends a welcome package offering a variety of resources to both employers and participants in Discovering Potential. Again, our DEI consultation services are also offered for free from our in-house DEI specialist, and we have free DEI webinars. Information sessions on careers in the electricity industry conducted by me will be provided to participants of this program. We also have free access to our professional skills development program and access to our Mentor Junction platform. Some FAQs regarding Discovering Potential. What employee training qualifies for coverage under this program? So any training must be conducted by a third-party organization in order to be eligible. Any third-party employee training or skills development must be indicated in the initial application and pre-approved by EHRC. So in our initial intake form, we have a section that asks whether training will be involved in this placement. If so, just please follow the questions there. And if you would like to use any of the $22,000 to cover this training, please let EHRC know, and we'll go ahead and review and pre-approve if you are eligible for this coverage. Can all youth placements qualify? No, the Discovering Potential program again prioritizes placements in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. As I've mentioned before, low-level apprenticeships are no longer eligible for this program, and we are really focusing on long-term placements with a bridge to permanent employment. So as such, seasonal placements are also not eligible. What is a bridge to employment? Work placements and training opportunities that directly lead to the permanent or long-term meaningful employment of the youth. We hired a youth participant last year. Can we apply for the program this year? No, so the Discovering Potential program is for new youth placements. So retroactive applications are not accepted. So only new youth hires who begin on or after April 1st are eligible. Moving on to our last program, this is Empowering Futures. Again, we'll go over the overview, the eligibility requirements, additional supports offered, and any additional or frequently asked questions with this program. So as such, EHRC's Empowering Futures program is our student work placement initiative for the electricity industry, and it provides financial supports to employers who create new work-integrated learning opportunities for students. Eligible employers can receive a financial incentive of 50% of the student's gross wages up to a maximum of $5,000. Again, eligibility for employers has not changed from our other two programs, so it must be in generation, transmission, distribution, sector support, or the manufacturing of equipment for the generation, transmission, or distribution. And again, the company must provide a full or part-time work opportunity for a student in post-secondary education enrolled in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, arts, or a business program. So what this is really doing is excluding the trade schools. Unfortunately, if you have any students that are studying a Red Seal trade or currently enrolled in a trade school, they are not eligible for this program. Again, that is just because there are so many other supports for the trades that you can still get support for your placement studying in a Red Seal. However, this program is just supports for students that are not. So for eligibility, students must be registered in a full-time or part-time in a Canadian post-secondary institution. The student must be a Canadian citizen, a permanent resident, or person with refugee protection in Canada. Unfortunately, international students are not eligible for this program, and they must be legally able to work in Canada. Employment eligibility, the placements must be a meaningful work integrated learning opportunity for students, and the student placement is a net new placement. I'll get more into this in the FAQs. For additional supports, students are offered mentorship through our Mentor Junction platform, and they also have access to our job board. Our job board includes a candidate pool where students can go in, input their resume and a little bit about themselves, and be available into our candidate pool for any array of jobs, of hiring organizations and job seekers. Any job seeker can access EHRC's candidate pool, review anyone who may have qualifications for the job that they are looking for, and then submit a request to see more. Students can then accept the request or reject it if it's not something that they're interested in. And then from there, hiring organizations can get access to their resume and reach out for a potential interview. Some FAQs for this program. I had a student receive funding for a previous term. Can I apply for them again if I hire them back? No, if a student receives support for a previous term, they are not eligible for support again. This is just for equity and accessibility. So EHRC, again, we won't be able to subsidize a student for 2 terms. This is just because we may be taking away opportunity from an organization or a student who may not have accessed the program before. I have a student in trade school. Are they eligible? Again, trade schools and trade placements are not eligible for the Empowering Futures program. Are international students eligible for funding? Unfortunately, international students are not eligible for the Empowering Futures program as well. My placement is beginning post-secondary next semester. Are they eligible for funding now? No, only students who have already started their post-secondary program and are actively enrolled are eligible for Empowering Futures. What is net new? So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So net new means or refers to positions deemed greater in number than an organization's baseline number. What is baseline number? So baseline number refers to 3 periods in time. It refers to the fiscal year, so either April to March, that an organization first accessed a SWIP funding program, or the 2 fiscal years during COVID. So this would be April 2020 to March 2021, April 2020 to March 2022. So those is COVID period, or the April to March period before an organization first accessed SWIP funding. So what that means is you count the number of student placements in each of those 3 periods. If an organization has not accessed funding through SWIP before, then you only need to look at your COVID-19 numbers. And then whichever is the lowest number in either period, that is your organization's baseline number. So in order to be eligible for funding, organizations must hire in surplus of that baseline number. So if your lowest number is 1, that means you have to hire 2 students to be eligible. If your baseline number is 3, then you must hire 4 students for 1 of those students to be eligible. If your organization didn't hire any students during COVID at all and never accessed SWIP funding before, then your baseline number is 0 and all of your placements can be deemed net new and eligible for funding. Your baseline number does not change no matter how many times you access the program. So once you have determined your organization's baseline number, that remains your baseline number until further notice, until things change. But as of now, they have not. And if all of this has just confused you even more, that is a-okay. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us and we'll be happy to walk you through this requirement. How do you apply? You can apply right through EHRC's funding platform, Funding for Futures. 1 profile gets you access to all 3 funding programs, including our job board, including our candidate pool. So our Funding for Futures platform is used to help manage wage subsidy applications, check status of them, check your claims and payment process for your potential new hire. And again, should you have any hiring opportunities, you can post them on the job board and you can access our candidate pool for any potential new roles. EHRC also offers our professional skills development program, so you can develop leadership and communication and problem solving and learning skills through this program. It helps establish positive relationships, attract and retain quality talent, and fosters a supportive and evolving workplace. This program is traditionally $99 on EHRC's website. However, all participants of any of our wage subsidy programs, whether that be Empowering Futures, Discovering Potential, or Destination Trade, will get an access code to access this training completely free. We also have our Mentor Junction platform. So Mentor Junction is EHRC's mentorship platform where we have a wide array of professionals in the electricity sector, and people can come in, create a completely free profile, and come connect with anyone from coast to coast to coast. In addition, Mentor Junction can also be offered as a white label platform should your organization be interested in having its own in-house mentorship platform. So you can customize your organization's mentorship, which leads to higher employee retention, 3 times higher median profit, mentees are promoted 5 times faster, and mentors are promoted 6 times faster. Again, our job board, as I keep promoting. So this is what it looks like. You can post jobs and find candidates easily. People who put a profile on our candidate pool can stand out to employers. And our job board is directly tied to our funding platform. So should you hire a candidate from our candidate pool, all their information can be seamlessly transferred into the funding side should you wish to apply for funding for your new hire directly after hiring them. For any questions, I encourage you to reach out to programs at EHRC and we'll be happy to answer anything regarding eligibility requirements, program access, or even if you're just confused on anything, we're here to help. We have our phone number there as well. We invite you to stay connected on ehrc.ca, reach us on LinkedIn and Facebook, and we thank you for investing in Canada's youth.